Welcome to our group conversation for the container security group. Today we're going to be, let's see, it looks like Wayne has the first item. Does anyone want to volunteer to read what he has here? Actually, maybe we should skip that one for the sake of the recording. Lindsay, looks like you have the next one.
I am not prepared for my agenda item, and I can run that query right now, and I apologize, and there'll be a lovely list of things that were closed since the last list before we're done with this call. Apologies. I do have the first follow-up from previous discussions too. Can you guys hear me okay? I'm having audio issues. Okay. So this could have been done asynchronously, and Sam, you've probably already given me a pretty clear answer here. This issue's been open for a long time around improving some documentation. I did get pinged from Nick the other day, also asking about the progress or his contribution. So we can sync up with him about ways that he can help out in this process. That was sort of what was the reason I added it to the agenda. Sam?
Yeah, so I'm working on it. You know, writing documentation is not my full-time job, so I'm kind of doing that in between everything else, so it's moving rather slowly, but we have a number of pages that are effectively orphaned, that don't show up anywhere in the nav. We have, you know, a lot of information that's scattered across a lot of different places, and then we have some information that's just missing altogether. So I'm trying to pull all that together, especially since I did that demo for the eBPF summit recently. I ran into all of those, probably many of the same problems that Wayne ran into doing his demo. And there are just a lot of gotchas about trying to set up what we have that are not well documented. So I'm just trying to go through and structure it in a way that's a little bit more clear. Chatting with Nick, it sounds like there's a pretty hefty process around making any kind of changes to the navigation. I'm not really sure, but it seems rather daunting. So I'm just trying to work through what I want to change first and get my mind around that before I make a proposal. But yeah, I'm working on it. I'm hoping to have it done this milestone, at least for GKE, and we can branch out to the other cloud providers in the future if we need to, if there are substantial differences.
In addition to leveraging Nick's time, Sam, I'm happy to help however I can. I know I'm not a subject matter expert here, but when it comes to navigation and organization and such, some of that weight could maybe be shared.
Okay, yeah, thanks for your offer. I'll probably take you up on that. For Wayne's comment, should we clarify this one to only focus on the portions important based on our post restructuring priorities, aka don't cover things specific to WAF, do the minimum for network security and focus on container host security? I think everything that we have needs to be well documented. So I don't know that we want to cut corners with network security. With WAF, where that's going away, we just need to make sure that it's well documented that that is deprecated as of the 13.6 release. WAF actually already has fairly good documentation compared to the others, so I'm not making any WAF updates. What we have there is already really good. So most of the work to be done after I reviewed it is around network security and container host security. All right, so I have the next one. I just wondered, how are things progressing with alert management? Looks like we don't have Zamir on, unfortunately. I know he's the one evaluating that, so we may need to handle that one asynchronously. But the first question was mostly for Zamir. Are we ready to finish the research spike and start development? I don't know, John or Mo, if you know where we're at on that. If not, we might have to just wait for Zamir on that one.
I'm not quite sure. I know he was doing some digging in some Golang code, I think, around the agent. And so just getting his head around that, but that's the best I can offer at this time.
Okay. And probably actually the next one is for Zamir as well. I was just wondering if there's anything here that a front-end engineer can help with. I know the plan is to use the monitor team's front-end UI as much as possible. So I'm hoping that the front-end work is really minimal, but if there is something that they can help with, it would be good to offload that onto the front-end team, because I think the front-end team is going to be ahead of the back-end team on the next issue, which is the policy, dash level scheduled scan policies. So if we can kind of balance things out that way, that would be nice. But probably we'll have to wait for Zamir on that one.
You can follow up with him in the Slack channel too, Sam.
Sounds good. And that's one that we talked a lot about that one before the reorganization, before we had a front-end engineer. So, and a lot has changed in our plans too regarding how we implement it. So yeah, it'd be good to just get an update from him on that. All right, and then the last one, do we have anything to discuss related to the dash scheduled scan policies? I know we've had a lot of asynchronous and synchronous communication on this outside of the meeting. I know Kyle's got mocks pretty well finalized. Alexander refined the issues. I think he's starting work, what now, right now that he's back from PTO this week, right, Lindsay? So I think he's probably starting that. We've got research spikes going on the back end. I just want, there's a lot going on with this one. It's a pretty complex, epic. Just wanted to open that up to see if we had anything we needed to discuss here.
Is there any reason that Alexander should delay the front-end work given any of the back-end dependencies that you just mentioned? I guess that's a question more for Mo and John.
I wish I had more, but I'm not sure. I think maybe it might be worth just having a sync call and whiteboarding it, saying here's what we're thinking and here's where we might need help, and from there breaking out a plan, but I don't know.
I know it's not you who's going to be working on this with him, Mo. Do we know, I mean, I know we don't pre-assign work typically in these teams, but is there someone who's been from the back end who's been focused on this so far, who Alexander should maybe set up that sync call with?
I don't know if we have a DRI yet.
I think, John, you've been doing that research spike.
Yeah, I did the spike, and I created more spikes from that spike. And there's one database issue, but front end can just move independently. If there's like the mocks are finalized, they can move it, and we can just connect separately.
Cool. I'll let Alexander know that, and if any questions come up, I will just tell him to pose them in the container security panel for anyone on the back end to respond to then, or in the issue itself.
I think he created some issues. He said it like, in the mock issue, he created some issues, but I don't know the final state.
Yeah, it looks like it's ready to start. He's completed the planning breakdown and everything's been refined. It would be good to get, usually with our refinement, we get another engineer to take a look at the implementation plan and the weight and just kind of give it a thumbs up. So I'm wondering if maybe it makes the most sense to have Zamir do that, since he's been acting full stack up until now. Otherwise, I can have someone else from the front end team to do so. So I'll follow up on that with Zamir in the same question of whether we can get some front end help on the alerts.
Great. Yeah, I think you're fortunate on this one, Lindsay. I think the front end is fairly straightforward and, decided. There's a lot less unknowns. On the back end, we have a lot of unknowns. We're not even starting the refinement for what we're doing for the MVC yet, because there's so much complexity around where we want to go in the long term that we've just taken a step back. We're doing a research spike to just draw out a rough architecture for where we want to be, 18 to 24 months from now, so that we don't get too nearsighted in the back-end implementation and just, kind of paint ourselves into a corner, if you will.
And you don't expect any of this discussion to result in any changes to the plans that have been made on the front end as far as the organization or the navigation or anything like that?
I don't know. I think really all the complexity is just on the back end. It's about where we're storing things. Do we store things in YAML? Do we store things in the database? How do we there's just a lot of back-end decisions to be made. The front end is fortunately a little bit more cut and dry.
Sounds good. So it sounds like we'll need a feature flag then for whatever front-end work is completed until the back end catches up.
Absolutely. It could very well be several iterations before. I mean, we're not even starting the work on the MVC now. We haven't even refined that. We're just designing the long-term state. So the front-end team is going to be way ahead of back-end on this one.
Okay.
All right. Anyone have anything new to demo? Mo, looks like you're up. You're the last one, so you've got the rest of the time.
I don't have anything to really screen share, but I'll just call out that FIPS support has been merged. All the MRs related to FIPS support has been merged. That's rolling out to staging. There's been documentation updates to talk about potential breaking changes for anyone that's using after script or before script blocks, because we switched from Alpine to CentOS. And we do have a GitLab runner that's now running integration tests. So if we may introduce any changes, we should be able to catch that if we break FIPS support going forward. So if you notice anything, or if there's any bugs that come out, feel free to ping me and I'll do my best to jump in and help out. Otherwise, we're shipping FIPS. Woohoo!
Awesome. Great work on that. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
All right. Does anyone else have anything? Otherwise, we'll wrap up early. Cool. Thanks for your time. Chat again next week.